In 1921, an Arctic expedition turned into a 2-year battle for survival. Ada Blackjack, an Iñupiat woman, found herself in this exact nightmare. Without proper survival training, she became the only survivor of a group of 5. You won't believe how she did it. This is her story. As always, listen closely. You never know when this knowledge might save your life. Chapter 1. Who was Ada? Ada Blackjack was born in 1898 in the native settlement of Spruce Creek, Alaska. Her early life was marked by hardship and adversity. To provide her with better opportunities, Ada's mother sent her to Nome, where she was raised by Methodist missionaries. These missionaries taught her to read, write, and cook, equipping her with essential skills that were unusual for a native woman of her time. One of the most valuable skills Ada acquired was seamstressing. She became an expert seamstress, particularly adept at making fur clothing, a crucial ability in the harsh Alaskan climate. At the age of 16, Ada married Jack Blackjack. However, her marriage was fraught with difficulties. Jack was abusive, and Ada endured severe hardship and neglect. Despite her efforts to build a family, Ada faced unimaginable loss. Of the 3 children she bore, only one, Bennett, survived. Bennett suffered from chronic tuberculosis, which added another layer of burden to Ada's already challenging life. Unable to care for him due to financial constraints, Ada had to place Bennett in an orphanage. The separation from her son was a constant source of pain for Ada, but she remained determined to improve their circumstances. In 1921, Ada was living in Nome, struggling to make ends meet. She was divorced from Jack, who had abandoned her after years of abuse. Her dire financial situation and the need to provide for Bennett drove her to make a life-changing decision. When she learned about an Arctic expedition led by Vilhjalmur Stephenson, she saw an opportunity. Chapter 2. The Expedition. Stephenson, a renowned Arctic explorer, was recruiting individuals for an ambitious expedition to Wrangel Island, and Ada's sewing skills made her a valuable candidate. The promise of $50 a month, a substantial amount at the time, was more than she could earn otherwise. Ada agreed to join the expedition, driven by the hope of securing a better future for herself and her son. The expedition Ada joined was the brainchild of Vilhjalmur Stephenson, a Manitoba-born Arctic explorer who viewed the northern polar region not as an inhospitable wasteland, but as the friendly Arctic. Stephenson's ambitious plan was to claim Wrangel Island, an uninhabited territory, for Canada. His vision extended beyond mere exploration. He dreamt of transforming the island into an airbase for future pan-Arctic flights. Stephenson assembled a team of 4 young men for the expedition. 3 Americans and 1 Canadian, who was designated as the nominal leader to lend legitimacy to their territorial claim. The team departed from Seattle on August 18, 1921, and arrived in Nome, Alaska, to secure passage to Wrangel Island. Despite efforts to recruit more indigenous Alaskans to join them, all but Ada ultimately refused. This left Ada as the sole indigenous member of the team, an untrained yet hopeful participant in an uncertain venture. Ada's role in the expedition was crucial. Her expertise in sewing was indispensable for creating and maintaining the fur clothing needed to survive the Arctic's brutal conditions. Despite her lack of survival training, she joined the expedition with the hope that her contributions would be enough to support the team's success. The plan was for Ada and the men to rely on her seamstressing skills and the team's combined knowledge to endure the harsh environment. However, as the expedition progressed, unforeseen challenges would test Ada's resilience and determination in ways she could never have imagined. Chapter 3. The ordeal begins. Accompanied by 4 men and a kitten named Vic, Ada set sail on September 9, 1921, from Nome, Alaska. The journey was supposed to include Inuit reinforcements in Siberia, but these plans fell through, leaving Ada as the sole woman among the men on Wrangel Island. The initial days were marked by mixed emotions. Ada felt overwhelmed by the isolation, and the men were initially uncomfortable with her presence. As the team settled into their routine and claimed the island for Canada, Ada's homesickness and anxiety intensified. She often found solace in the distant horizon, where ships would come and go, a lifeline to the outside world. However, the anticipated relief ship failed to arrive as winter set in, trapping them on the island in the increasingly harsh Arctic conditions. The isolation weighed heavily on Ada. She struggled with bouts of depression and thoughts of suicide, exacerbated by the men's distrust and mistreatment. They mocked her skills, denied her food, and subjected her to harsh conditions, including tying her to a flagpole at times. Despite these challenges, Ada persevered, finding small joys in her sewing and occasional moments of camaraderie with the team. As the harsh Arctic winter set in, the conditions for the expedition became increasingly dire. Supplies dwindled rapidly, and the men realized they needed to seek help if they were to survive. With heavy hearts, 3 of them made the difficult decision to leave Ada and Lauren Knight behind, promising a swift return. They believed their chances of finding assistance would be higher if they traveled light. Lauren Knight couldn't go with the other men as he was suffering from scurvy. Ada, with her limited survival skills and a heart full of hope, watched them depart, clinging to the promise of their quick return. What she didn't know was that these men would never be seen again. For Ada, still holding on to hope, days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. The reality of her isolation began to sink in, as Ada found herself almost completely alone on the desolate and icy Wrangel Island, facing the vast, unforgiving Arctic wilderness with nothing but her determination and resourcefulness. She took on the daunting task of providing for herself and the ill Lauren Knight, learning to trap foxes and shoot birds for food. Her efforts were met with Knight's criticism and deteriorating health, pushing Ada to the brink of her physical and emotional limits. Ada's resourcefulness and determination kept them alive through the brutal winter months. She cared for Knight despite his worsening condition, demonstrating remarkable resilience in the face of overwhelming odds. Despite their conflicts, Ada and Lauren found solace in shared stories and moments of spiritual reflection. Lauren, in a gesture of trust and companionship, gave Ada his Bible, a source of comfort amidst their isolation. Chapter 4. Completely Alone. Tragedy struck on June 23, 1923, when Lauren succumbed to his illness after months of suffering. Ada, now truly alone on Wrangel Island with only her loyal feline companion Vic, faced an uncertain future. Her strength and resourcefulness had kept them both alive, but now she wondered if rescue would ever come. She couldn't bring herself to move Lauren's body, so she built a barrier around him to keep wild animals away. Alone, except for her cat Vic, Ada waited, hoping her companions would return. She worried about enduring another harsh winter on the island, and wondered if she'd ever see her son Bennett again. After Knight's death, Ada managed to hunt her first seal and gather eggs for food. She built a boat from wood and animal skins, but lost it to the wind. Despite these setbacks, she kept watch for any signs of rescue and never gave up. Chapter 5. The Rescue. Then, on August 20th in 1923, Ada heard a noise and saw through her binoculars a ship emerging from the fog. She rushed to the beach and was greeted not by her friends, but by Harold Noyce, a friend of the expedition leader. They realized Ada was the last one alive. Overcome with relief, Ada collapsed in tears, finally heading home to reunite with her son. Ada's survival and the loss of her companions made headlines. She avoided the spotlight, focusing on caring for Bennett in Seattle and later having another son, Billy. Ada spent her final years in Alaska, passing away on May 29, 1983, at age 85. She is remembered as the courageous heroine of Wrangel Island, honored with a plaque on her grave in Anchorage Memorial Park Cemetery. If you found her story as inspiring as we did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tales of human triumph. Until next time, stay strong and stay curious.